Hey there, writers. Today I'm wanting to talk to you about something that terrifies many writers. Just the thought of it can send us a quiver with fear, and that is the humble synopsis. What is a synopsis, you might ask, if you've never had to write one of these terrible things? So a synopsis is basically a summary of your manuscript. It's usually 1 to 2 pages, depending on publisher or agent requirements, and it should be single-spaced. And you're often asked to provide a synopsis if you are querying to publishers or agents. So you'll usually get asked for a cover letter, a synopsis, and often the first 1 or 3 chapters of your book. And it just means that the agent or publisher can get a really good overview of the whole of your story before they commit to reading any chapters that you've sent them and potentially asking you to provide the rest of your manuscript. So if you self-publish, this is not something that you need to worry about, and it is one of the most wonderful things about self-publishing, that you don't need to write a synopsis of your book. So if that is the case for you, then kindly just, give this video a thumbs up if you like, and go about your merry way, because you do not need this information. So I have written many synopses in my time. I'm currently writing my 16th book. 9 of my books, I think, at the moment are traditionally published, and so I think I've had to write a synopsis for all of them. And I have been offered, I believe, 5 publishing contracts from different publishers over my publishing career. So obviously what I'm doing with my synopses is working. So how it works for me now, though, because I have a publisher who I've published a lot of books with, if I have an idea for a book, I don't need to do the cover letter, I don't need to provide the opening chapters anymore. I just get in touch with my editor with the idea, and she will usually ask me to provide a synopsis if she kind of likes the idea. I will write a synopsis, and then I've get given the green light to write it. I sign the contract for it, and it's all good. And doing it that way actually makes things a lot easier, and I will explain why. So when you write a synopsis, it is the whole of your story explained kind of in order from start to finish. And so if you are in a position where you are querying a publisher or an agent, you have probably written your whole manuscript, and then you go about writing your synopsis. So you have to work your way through the story from beginning to end, and you need to cut it down to, like I say, it's either 1 page or 2 pages, usually, depending on the requirements of the publisher or agent. That can be really difficult to do. Writing a synopsis when you haven't actually written the manuscript is unbelievably easier, because you don't know all the little intricacies. What you know is what you want to happen in the plot, what the themes are going to be, and the main characters. It's simplified, therefore it is much easier to write the synopsis, or at least that's my theory anyway, and that is what I have found. When it comes to writing a synopsis, it seems like this enormous task, and I still feel like it's an enormous task, even though I know that I'm perfectly capable of doing it. Not only have I written them for myself, but I've also helped other authors to either write or to edit theirs as well. I know what I'm doing. What I would always advise to do is to start at the beginning of your story and just work your way through to the end. And it's important that your synopsis includes the ending of your story. This shouldn't be a cliffhanger for the agent or for the publisher. You don't want, I think what some writers think is that they want the publisher or agent to be thinking, ooh, what happens at the end? I need to read the manuscript to find out. That is not what they want at all. They want to know so that they can tell if that ending fits with what they would expect from the story for its genre and things like that, and whether they think it's the right ending in terms of how they will be able to sell that book. It's really important that you put in the ending. And that's all it is. It really is. It's just telling them what happens in your book. They need to know what genre it is very clearly. They need to know the storyline, they need to know the themes, and they need to know the characters and what their internal and external conflicts are. And that is it. Yeah? Keep it simple. In terms of formatting your synopsis for them, so as I've said, it needs to be single spaced. Don't go and try to make it look all fancy using a weird font or anything like that. They want it clear and easy to read. I'm a Times New Roman girl, size 12 font. I just like it. I know it's old school, but just really keep it simple. They want to be able to read it clearly. They don't want any kind of swirly fonts because it's fantasy or something like that. Absolutely not. The other thing, which is quite usual to do, is the first time you mention a character's name in your synopsis, it's usual to put the whole name in capitals, and then any other time that the name is mentioned, you just put the capital at the beginning of the name like you normally would. But the first time you use it, make sure it's all in capitals. And that's it. It really does not need to be a piece of beautiful literary fiction. It's just explaining to the publisher or agent what the story is about, what happens in it. And when you think about it like that, I think it does make it a little bit easier, and it doesn't seem like quite such a daunting task ahead of you. Other really important thing to do before you think about sending off your synopsis is, after you've written it, you've gone all the way through your story from the beginning to end, you need to edit it, you need to go through it a few times, you need to make sure that it's grammatically correct, you need to make sure that the spelling is correct, you want to make sure that you're not repeating any part of the story, and that you're not having lots of repetitions of words as well, because that can be quite frustrating for people. But aside from that, that's really all it is, making sure that that synopsis is really clear and lets the agent or the publisher know exactly what is going to happen in your book. Gives you absolutely the best chance of them being able to quickly tell if it's the kind of book that they are going to be looking for. They don't want to waste your time, you don't want to waste their time either. So if they like your synopsis and they read your first few chapters, hopefully they will go on to request your full manuscript, and who knows, you may end up signing with an agent or with a publisher very, very soon. Well, I really hope that this video has been helpful. If you do have any more questions, if there's anything that I didn't manage to cover in this video, please make sure that you put them down in the comments below, and I will make sure that I answer them as soon as possible, and I will catch you in the next one.